Hey everyone, welcome back to Break Take Stacking. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about silver and inflation. Now, if you've been watching stacking channels for any amount of time, you do know that stacking as a hedge against inflation is one of the main reasons why people pick up silver and stack silver. Now, everyone expects like a one-to-one reaction with inflation and silver. They think, inflation is high, silver should be going up to keep up with it. And as we've been seeing, inflation is at a 40-year high. And unfortunately, with silver, the price hasn't been moving. I say unfortunately for some. For me, I'm still looking to pick up silver. So a cheaper price means I can pick up more silver. But, if you've been stacking for decades and you're looking to cash out a little bit, I can see where you're a little upset that silver hasn't been, shooting up. As of recording, the price is still going down, so we're in the middle of a little downturn for silver. And like I said, we keep seeing articles about 40-year high, 4-decade high for inflation, and a lot of people are wondering, what's going on? Why isn't silver keeping up with inflation? But the problem is people are looking and comparing silver just to inflation itself, which is not the way that you should look at it. You should be looking at silver and comparing it to the dollar. And the dollar is what's being affected by inflation. So I don't know if you call that like a transitive property where, by inflation affecting the dollar and the dollar affecting silver, then yes, I guess you can say in a roundabout way, inflation affects silver. But inflation affects the dollar, and that's what you're kind of comparing the silver to. And historically, when the dollar is doing well, silver isn't. And then the inverse is happening. If it's a weaker dollar and the dollar isn't doing well, then you'll see precious metals like silver going up. But like I said, it's the dollar that you're looking to compare it to. But even then, it's 40-year high inflation. There's never a point where inflation on a fiat currency is a good thing. There's never a point where inflation will strengthen the dollar. So when you see 40-year highs, you should think that the dollar is on the ropes. You should think it's just about to be KO'd because, how can it not be? All this inflation, and inflation is a bad thing for a fiat currency. Why is it not, affecting the silver price? Well, it's a weird thing because even with the inflation, I keep seeing articles talking about how the dollar is almost at a 20-year high and how the dollar just keeps strengthening and it keeps going up. And obviously when the dollar is up, like I just said, silver is down. But the thing is, you're just looking at the American inflation and the American dollar. You have to look globally. And globally, it's a nightmare everywhere. Inflation is up through the roof in every country, and every other currency is struggling just as much or more with inflation and devaluing of the currency than America. You know what I mean? So when other currencies are trading against the US dollar, it's a much better option than their current one. So globally, the US dollar is doing just fine. As I said, I keep seeing articles talking about it's almost at a 20-year high. So in a hypothetical situation where there's no other problems around the world and it's just the United States that's having problems with a 40-year high inflation, and every other country on earth is relatively fine, they're not going through the same financial crisis, and you might start seeing silver going up because of the dollar weakening. So obviously in this situation where it's just America that's going through a horrible financial crisis, then you'll see investors and traders looking at other stronger currencies where they can put their money in, and then you'd start seeing the dollar weaken, and then you would start seeing silver going up. So as weird as it might sound that the dollar is close to a 20-year high, that's the reason. It's because it is still relatively strong compared to some other currencies or all the other currencies that are going down the tubes because of inflation. So yes, in the short term right now, if you're looking at this snapshot in time, silver is not really hedging against the inflation that you're seeing, just because we're kind of a little bit in unprecedented times here where it's a global financial crisis, and the dollar is being propped up from investors trying to get out of even worse currencies. So that's where you're seeing the dollar being strong, is on the global scale. So as far as people being upset with the way that silver has been reacting to it, I 100% understand where you're coming from. You know what I mean? Especially if you're new to stacking. If this is, you know, your first couple of years stacking and you've been hearing that, you know, this is a good hedge against inflation, you keep hearing that over and over again, you might seem a little discouraged the way that it's reacting. But, you know, this is pretty unusual times that we're going through right now, and everything is sort of unstable. So it's just sort of luck of the draw if you just got into silver right now. Like with me, I got into it in 2020. So I've only been experiencing the high premium era. I keep seeing people in the comments talking about they've been stacking since the 90s, and you hear about what their dollar cost average is. Stuff like that keeps me up at night, just thinking, kind of kicking myself for not getting into it earlier. But, you know, just like with other reasons why you would stack silver as, you know, a little bit of wealth preservation and as a physical savings account, it's a long-term thing, especially with, as I said, I mentioned premiums. You know, it's going to take a while for spot price to move up for you to just break even on some of your pieces. So, yes, if you're looking at a snapshot in time, right now, silver has not been a great hedge against inflation. So I'm hoping that in the next few decades that we will return to some form of normalcy. You know what I mean? I hope that the next 20 years, this global financial crisis is not going to keep happening or not going to keep lingering on. You know, hopefully there's an end to it soon and we can get back to some form of normal. So unfortunately, in the situation we're in right now, silver is not acting as a good hedge against inflation. And unfortunately, I don't know what the future is going to hold. I don't know if the current situation we're in now is going to last for the next 4 decades or if it's going to last for the next 4 months. I have no idea. But the current situation we're in right now, with how the dollar is comparing globally, silver is not going to be responding well to that. It's not going to be a good hedge against inflation in the current situation we're in. And again, that's not to say that in the next couple of months everything could change and go back to normal. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell the future. So, you know, that's just sort of where we're at right now with silver. If you're looking at it as a hedge against inflation at the current, you know, right at this second, it is not the greatest hedge against inflation. But anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you come back for the next one. Thank you.